Bethesda still has some new announcements on the horizon. We saw just recently how, of course, they announced 2 new games during the PS5 event, but more is coming, seemingly. As just recently, Bethesda did announce they will be hosting a digital Quakecon in the early weeks of August. This being right around the time they've had their physical in-location Quakecon for the past 20 years, and I'm actually pretty excited for this. As right at the end of this tweet, they mentioned how they should have a few fun secrets, which if you take that in the literal meaning, it means several things to come out around this. And in this video, I want to break that down and just go over in general some of the recent news and information to come out around Bethesda. There's actually been several weird or just strange things. This whole game announcement season has been quite bizarre. We've gotten several leaks that now could be kind of promising, in particular around this event, and even some other strangeness like canceled games that have yet to be officially canceled. It's all quite interesting, but there's a lot to go over in this one. If you guys enjoy the content or want to stay up to date with Fallout 76 or Bethesda in general, you can get subscribed. I actually should have a video coming out around Fallout 76 and a particularly special one this Tuesday, but that is a topic we're going to touch on in this video. But first, let's look at what Quakecon 2020 is going to be in general. I feel like this news kind of got overshadowed because it was just a couple of hours before Night City Wire, but what Bethesda describes we'll be seeing are live streams, tournaments, charity fundraising, and a few fun secrets, with many fans specifically focusing on that last point. Although this isn't an explicit confirmation that we are getting some details around either new games or even updates for their existing content, it seems very likely there's a lot of stuff in Bethesda's catalog that is expected to or almost certainly getting updates that they just don't really have another outlet or avenue to talk about. But when it comes to this and some of Bethesda's new game announcements, all of this has just been very odd over the past couple of months. We heard early on back in April that there would be no digital E3 replacement in June. Although then shortly thereafter we found out that Bethesda would be a part of the Summer of Gaming event as well as GameSpot's Play for All event listed as an attendee for both. It turns out all of these events were basically just including other events in their attendee list, so what I think that meant was how Bethesda was at the PS5 event. Of course, Bethesda announced 2 PS5 timed exclusives with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, so I assume that was the announcement Summer of Gaming was referring to. GameSpot Play for All also kind of included the PS5 event. They had a pre-show for it. Even outside of that, they have a few other Bethesda-focused things. Some exclusive Skyblivion stuff was just recently shared on their channel. And even the top 5 mods of all time for Skyrim is something they have coming on that schedule in the next couple of weeks. But then even stranger, even though Bethesda wasn't listed as an attendee, they did have an announcement pop up on the schedule for the IGN Summer of Gaming. Apparently it was going to be some roadmap gameplay for Fallout 76. I suspected it'd be kind of like what we see at past E3s for the future of 76. But then the day that was supposed to go live, it was just removed, and we never heard anything from IGN or from Bethesda. Until today, where it actually popped back up. I'm not sure if this went live today, I only was made aware of it today, but yes, now they are listed yet again with the exact same item for IGN's Summer of Gaming. Although the timing of this has me a bit suspicious, as June 30th is also the day we are getting the highly anticipated patch 20 for Fallout 76. So I would be shocked if this new gameplay is less so a trailer detailing the roadmap overall, but more so just some of the content that's recently been on the PTS and coming this summer for the game. Perhaps it'll announce, hey, with patch 20 we just added these cool new features, and in the next patch we're going to add these other cool new features. Now right now it's just speculation by me, but as of right now, neither Bethesda nor IGN have officially commented on this event. It's just been added and removed from the schedule with them not saying anything, so who knows. I wanted to go through all of that because it kind of gets you up to date with where we are right now and what is still on the table to be announced. One of the big and very easy predictions to make around Quakecon is Doom Eternal DLC news. Earlier in May, they shared some screenshots of the Doom Eternal DLC, and it has been confirmed that this game is at least getting a couple of DLCs, so we'll likely hear a lot about that at this event. Considering Deathloop is slated to come out in 2020, you have to imagine we'll get more gameplay or a trailer or something around the game here. Seems like another fairly safe bet. Although something else that's pretty interesting is around Commander Keen. Commander Keen was this very unpopular game announced back at E3 2019. we heard about it for the first time, it was coming out of the ZeniMax Online Studios, the developers of ESO, as their second game. Except, since that event, since the day we got this trailer, we literally have heard nothing. Although, on the same day this Quakecon digital announcement came out, just a couple of hours later, Commander Keen was actually pulled from the ZeniMax Online Studios website. It used to have a listing on the main page as an upcoming game, now it just says they're working on a variety of projects, and it's been large in part scrubbed from social media. The account's being taken down, the trailer was deleted off of YouTube. To me, this is very weird because there's still been no official response from Bethesda despite this happening a couple of days ago, but RIP to Commander Keen, the studio's second game that only got an announcement trailer, then nothing for a year, then it got scrapped. Although, yeah, obviously it didn't look that good to begin with, I don't think anybody's too upset about this one. Although perhaps there could be another new announcement from ZeniMax Online Studios. We'll likely hear something about ESO. They're currently in the dark heart of Skyrim questline, and I assume a new trailer will pop up here, like the new trailer we get every year at E3. Or maybe even something else. ESO's getting pretty old now, it is plausible they could have other teams working on other projects. But then that brings us around to Fallout 76, and we'll know a lot more about whether or not 76 will be at QuakeCon come this Tuesday, and whatever that gameplay is or isn't from IGN, that assuming it actually comes out this time. Fallout 76 has been at every QuakeCon, and it's typically almost an E3 extra. They'll have a big trailer at E3 and then some follow-up stuff at QuakeCon, and typically is a pretty big source of information. I could see one potential timeline being we do just get a smaller gameplay dump this Tuesday, like I was describing earlier, but then the larger, meatier trailer showing off things like the Brotherhood of Steel comes at QuakeCon. In the files of the Fallout 76 PTS right now, there is this setup for a precursor event to the arrival of the Brotherhood of Steel, where basically it's a little precursor event. A new character pops up in game, he has dialogue, notes, and lore, and you can start to listen to some radio messages sent by the Brotherhood of Steel, and they're requesting you leave resources at this in-game location. A pretty cool way Bethesda could play this is, at QuakeCon 2020, they show off the trailer displaying the Brotherhood of Steel DLC that is on the way, but it still is a couple of months away. But right now in game, you could try out our new content, including this new precursor quest, which will go live just after the event, kind of similar to what they did with the Nuclear Winter game mode. Here's what it looks like, here's the trailer, and hey, by the way, you could play it tomorrow. One way or another, I would say it's very likely we hear something. Technically, this whole Steel Dawn questline, as well as the One Wasteland, is slated for a fall release date. At the time of QuakeCon, summer will be fast approaching an end, opening up the doors for it to only come out a month or two after QuakeCon. One of the big things we typically get around Fallout 76 at QuakeCon are those big question and answer events. Also, somewhat related, we recently saw how the Vault Boy skin is going to Smash Bros, and I feel like Bethesda is overdue for a port to the Switch of some kind. Skyrim on the Switch has been there for a while, but what about Fallout 4? That leaked a while ago, but evidently it didn't pan out. Or even Fallout 3 for the Switch, which also had a very fake leak just recently come out around it. But either of those games or New Vegas would make great Switch ports, and I wouldn't be shocked if we hear about those at some point. That definitely could be a fun secret, but also not a major announcement from the company. But then we get into the juicy part of this, when it comes to the leaks around QuakeCon and Bethesda. There have been several interesting leaks to come out over the past couple of weeks. One very throwaway one, where apparently ZeniMax was forcing Bethesda to have a July 11th event, which almost certainly is false, but we'll find out in just a week or two. Although one interesting one that didn't get as much attention has somewhat been right. It popped up on Reddit on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, which is not a good first sign. It mentions how the information in the post was gathered over several months, but some of it may be bound to change. It was posted on the 13th of May, so a little old now, and then goes on to say that Starfield will not be revealed at any point during the Summer Game Fest, but instead it'll be shown at an online event hosted by Bethesda in August. The online event intended to be a QuakeCon replacement of sorts. Also, at this online event, there will be some other Bethesda games or IPs being shown. Starfield is currently planned for a release in Q2 of 2021, although it may be pushed back to Q3, but Starfield will be a next-gen exclusive, not coming out on current-gen consoles. He goes on to say how they wanted to make it cross-gen, but it became clear that was too ambitious, the older hardware wasn't good enough, and then some other miscellaneous information as far as timeline of the development of Starfield goes. So of course, with every leak, take it with a major grain of salt, but this one's interesting to me. It comes after Pete Hines confirmed that no digital E3 replacement conference would be held in June, And I think at that time, especially in May when this was posted, a lot of people thought that meant no digital conference. I know I did. We also heard Quakecon was canceled this year at this point, and it didn't really seem like there would be a digital Quakecon, but then we get the news that a digital Quakecon is in fact on the way a couple of months after this is posted. Overall though with this one, the interesting part is it's all very plausible and predictable. Predicting a digital Quakecon really isn't that crazy of a thing. Although I think it is worthy of discussion because technically nothing on it has been wrong yet, and there also is that interesting timeline of a early 2021 Starfield release date. If Starfield really was coming out in Q1 or Q2 of 2021, when would Bethesda drop that first trailer? For the past decade and a half, Bethesda has been dropping games in Q4 of the year. With the release of next-gen consoles, it could provide additional incentive to have an earlier release date to follow the release of those new consoles fairly closely. And if this leak had said that it's going to be a showcase of Starfield in August for a release date late in 2020, I would say it's almost certainly not happening that way. But a showcase in August for a release in early 2021, I don't know, it definitely could be a thing. Either way, again, take it with a grain of salt. Just because he predicted the digital Quakecon doesn't really mean much, and thus far nothing else on this leak is really all outside the realm of public knowledge. Although if we do get a Starfield trailer at Quakecon, it would almost certainly be teased ahead of time. That's the way they handled both Fallout 76 and Fallout 4, and it worked really well with each of those games. And something that is happening in July is the Xbox event. This is likely going to be the big one. We're getting larger reveals on things like Halo Infinite and likely a lot of other new game announcements and new game teasers. So I'm not saying this is happening, but I think it could be very plausible, a very plausible timeline, wherein Bethesda drops a teaser for Starfield similar to the ones we got for Fallout 4 and 76 at the Xbox event, saying the full reveal is just a few weeks away at our early August Quakecon replacement for a release date of Starfield for Q2 2021. It also could totally not happen that way. Quakecon could end up just being a Doom Eternal DLC and a ESO teaser, but it definitely is something to keep our eyes on. One other one I just wanted to put at the end of this video because the absurdity is reaching pretty high levels, as there was recently a leak on 4chan, also not a good sign for the credibility of a leak, that in fact Obsidian is working on a Fallout New Vegas remaster for Bethesda, which will be a limited time exclusive on the Xbox Series X. It's from a supposed former employee from Obsidian. This is just posted a couple of days ago, where he does describe that following the completion of the Outer Worlds, Obsidian repurposed several of those devs for a top secret project, that with New Vegas remastered, although in reality it's more so of a remake. Some of the things they'll include are all of the DLCs, expand the limits of creation engine, including a ton of previously cut content from the original game, and even further, the reason the Fallout 4 New Vegas mod project is taking so long to complete is several members have joined Obsidian, or at least he heavily alludes to that point. And even further, how this is large in part being done as a almost sorry for Fallout 76, and it will be announced at the Xbox conference. He even describes how there will be a Forza trailer that does end in a desert and naturally transitions into the New Vegas remastered trailer. One of the interesting things that caught my eye about this leak is how it says that New Vegas remastered is being developed as almost a sorry. This is something we've heard in the past from a totally separate Pastebin leak. Basically, a guy just posted a ton of leaks about different companies on a Pastebin, some of which ended up being true, but they were mostly true because they were so broadly applicable that it was easy to predict, like the next Assassin's Creed being a Viking game. Although this also predicted a New Vegas remaster, which was planned to basically be a sorry for Fallout 76. Although, to be fair, even though this did get some things correct, it's almost like a shotgun approach. Some things landed just because he has so many predictions, and actually several other predictions were very, very wrong. So this is almost certainly incorrect, and even further, the Fallout 4 New Vegas Twitter account responded to this post on Twitter saying, yeah, no, we don't know about that. And honestly, I think all of this leak could be somewhat plausible until he said that members from the Fallout 4 New Vegas project were being recruited. Because overall, Bethesda and Microsoft teaming up to make a remastered version that actually takes advantage of next-gen hardware of New Vegas or even Fallout 3 would be a huge reason to get the new console. Include things like more advanced mod support than is seen on current gen, and I bet you could get a lot of people very interested without a ton of work in creating a totally new game. But the likelihood of Bethesda and Obsidian partnering up again just seems low. Bethesda is a big company now, 4 times the size as when they were developing Fallout 4. If they're going to do a remaster, I really really think it would be done in-house. They have a lot more manpower. Although I would love to be 100% wrong and for this to be a reality. It would actually be really cool. But overall, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully this acts as a updated buyer's guide on what you can expect from Bethesda at their Quakecon digital conference. I really do have like a slight amount of hope we could actually have that Starfield timeline. It's still very unlikely. I would say maybe I have like 5% chance of it maybe happening, but maybe. Although until next time, I thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you all later.